والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا رحمة للعالمين بالقاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل. Amma ba, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise and glory belongs to Allah, the one who has created human beings with the same inclinations, same likes, same dislikes as of himself. So he says in the Holy Quran that fitratullahi allati fatara an-nasa alayha la tabdila li khalqillah, that I have created men with the same fitrat as of myself, and there is no change in my creation. So, since we've been talking about the matter of choice and freedom, it relates to a human being. So the first thing we would do in order to understand choice and freedom is to see or find out what is a human being. If we don't understand what a human being is, then the discussion of choice and freedom does not really exist. So if we understand human beings to be a Homo sapien that came out as a process of evolution through apes or Neanderthals, where even between that evolution there are, if not hundreds of millions of years unaccounted for, is a humongous difference between the gap where there was a Neanderthal and then a human being that can process the information with a brain that processes 4 billion bits per second. And out of the 4 billion bits per second, only 2,000 bits per second are known by science what we utilize that for. The rest of it, science cannot tell us what we utilize that much processing power for. Or they were able to produce that processing power of 1 second of the brain activity with the utmost technology that they had. They were able to reproduce that processing power with that computer that took it 2 hours. So 2 hours, the highest, technologically advanced computer was able to produce the same amount of processing power in 2 hours, and the brain does that in 1 second. And if you were to have your own PC do that you have in the house, it'll take 24 hours. 24 hours it would take for process the information that the brain does in 1 second. So when we look at as far as what is a human being, even if you take the idea of a Homo sapien, of an evolutionary being, the complexity that a human being has, it is quite impossible that such a huge gap that nobody knows what happened in that time, that we would have a creation like this, we would have a being like this. And if the choice is a matter of mind, then there is no scientific data out there that can explain to you what mind is. What they can explain is what brain is. And in the brain, they can tell you about the neurons that are firing and the communication is happening, but they cannot tell you what the mind is, where a person is feeling love, where a person is able to understand the meaning of something. They cannot tell you. What they can tell is that when they do the brain scan, that there are certain parts of the brain that lights up. Or there are certain enzymes that are produced when a person is in love. Those are called peptides. And you have endorphins, you have the same sort of chemicals when you have chocolate. So when it comes to the mind, nobody knows what it is. Right? So if the choice is in the mind, then first thing you have to do before you start taking this flag that everybody should have choice, then explain to everybody what is the mind first. Before you take the flag of freedom and start, telling that everybody should be free, then first of all tell us, where does that freedom exist? Does it exist in this, or does it exist inside? Where is that freedom? Where is that feeling of freedom does a person get? Right? So they say you can get free if you have a lot of money. I don't know if you have in the lottery, but they say that in lottery, the freedom to choose. That if you were to win all of this money, you will have freedom. And unfortunately, the ones who do win the lottery, they become instead of free, they become more constrained now. There are the accountants that you have to deal with, there are the lawyers that you have to deal with, there are those mortgage brokers that you have to deal with, you have to deal with such and such and such. And at the end of the day, the freedom that you thought that you would have, you do not have. Right? So first we have to see, what is this human being? And somebody was saying that it seems like a science lesson, but the reason why I give you these facts for the minds of yours and for my mind is to understand that the actual truth which tells us what reality is exists in the Quran. It exists in the sayings of Ahlul Bayt. It exists in the sayings of the Holy Prophet. The reality that can be shown to us, that all of us want, is actually there. Not somewhere else where you're trying to find. Because they themselves don't know. Right? So somebody who does not know, how would you be able to get the answer from them? Right? So this is the purpose that I bring out these facts. And try to remember and think about them. Take it. So what is a human being? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have created a human being with the same inclinations as of myself. And there is no change in my creation. What is fitrah? And fitrat is another topic. But the reason why we're talking about all of these topics is so that we can understand where this choice exists. And I'll tell you where I want to take you before I take you. Already it's too late, but I'll tell you. The choice and freedom that we are going to talk about exists inside of you. The choice and freedom that we're talking about exists inside of you. Meaning, just to give you a quote, that they made Imam Sajjad a prisoner. By putting the chains and the ropes and putting them in a place which was not of their honor or dignity, they would say that they made Imam Sajjad a prisoner. Yes, they did put him into a prison, but they did not make him a prisoner. He was in a prison. Bibi Zainab Salamu Alayha was in a prison. Right? But they could not make them prisoners. Even in prison, Imam Qadim ﷺ was not a prisoner. Yes, he was in a prison, but he was not a prisoner. He would have become a prisoner if he had disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is freedom. But where does this freedom exist? Does it exist outside or does it exist inside? And the answer to that is that it exists inside. And so does your choice. When you look at the choices that a person has outside, since the time that a person could come up with opinions and be opinionated and be very strong in their opinion, quote unquote, they would be called philosophers. So as long as philosophy has existed or minds have contemplated this thing, this idea about destiny or predestination or freedom, it is a discussion that has been going on for thousands of years. And if you think about it, the majority of the atrocities that have been committed in Karbala or everywhere else, it is because this concept is not understood. When all of this happened, they just blamed it. They said, well, this was written. That Imam Hussain ﷺ was going to go to Kufa, and in Kufa he would be stopped, and then that event of Karbala would have happened. That was written. And that what Yazid did, that was also written. So therefore, when everything is written, you cannot blame the oppressor. You cannot blame the oppressor, and the oppressed, you cannot say anything to them because it was written. It was the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When that sort of ideology is utilized, the oppressors even of today are able to oppress the individuals. They say that, well, God made me a king and He made you a subject. So therefore, whatever I'm going to do is the will of God, and whatever you're going to do, that is the will of God. You have a problem, go take it up with God. So even till today, the atrocities that are being committed is because this concept has not become clear in the minds of individuals. And for us, we have been told that Jabr and Tafweed, it's something Amr bain al-Amrain. That's neither it is force or complete freedom. What it is something in the middle. So even if you take that sort of ideology, then okay, complete force is wrong. Complete freedom is wrong. And when you combine the two together, that there is a little bit of freedom, a little bit of force, that this is the third way, well, if you combine two negatives into negatives, what do you get? Really? Okay. Negative in the sense of math, if you're saying maybe. But if one is misguidance, complete freedom is misguidance, and having complete force is misguidance. If you were to take two misguidance and put it together, what do you get? Misguidance. Right? So Amr bain al-Amrain that has been told to us by Imam Masumin alayhi salam, neither it has to do with Tafweed or it has to do with Jabr. It's a completely different path. And that completely different path is the path that has been told to us by Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam through the knowledge that was bestowed to them by the Holy Prophet through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who should be better to tell us about that different path? Should it be the philosophers or anybody else? No. It should be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, again, the destiny discussion, predestination, was in Urdu, I'll say it in English as well. Something wrong happens, meri to kismat hi kharab. Right? Something wrong happens, they say, my kismat is kharab, meaning my destiny is bad. But if something good comes, nobody you ever hear saying, meri kismat badi achhi. Well, you might hear somebody saying that. But generally, when something good happens, you say, I did it. You got this job? Yes, I did it. I did that perfect resume. I went in perfect interview, and the employer was just, dumbfounded by my talent and by my intelligence. I did it. And when the person comes back, what happened? Did you get the job? No, it was not in my kismat. Kismat mein nahi tha na to nahi mila. It was not in my kismat, so therefore I didn't get it. Yani, in day-to-day basis, we are using this word qismat to almost every single aspect of our life. Right? So what it is, well, maybe for today's discussion, so much of the steps are good. Because qismat mein ye likha hai. Because in the destiny is written this way. But what I want to get your minds towards is what I talked about, fitrah. So inshallah we'll talk about this and connect it, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. So fitrah is the inclinations that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to a human being that are the same inclinations as he has. So whatever he likes, a human being likes. Whatever he dislikes, a human being dislikes. But there is also another inclination that he has given that has produced this test. He says that I'm the one who has created life and death so that I can test you. لِيَبْلِوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. So I can test among you who does the best of actions. So if it was just the inclination of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that our likes would be His likes and our dislikes would be His likes, then we would have no test. Everybody would be a godly person. Everybody would be just. Everybody would be generous. Everybody would be merciful. Everybody would be forgiving. Everybody would have all of the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They would all like that, and there would be nobody who would be jealous, arrogant, ghibat, oppressor, and so forth and so forth. With me so far? So what is that other inclination? It's called what we ask each other every day, aapki tabiyat ka kya haal hai? And we ask every day, is how is your tabi'at? Tabi'at, yani, how are you doing? Okay? Like in English, I don't know, I'm trying to go through the word that I know of, what translates into English. I'll tell you that in a little while. Just remind me. So when you ask somebody how you are, what basically they're doing is they're looking at their equilibrium inside of their body, and if that equilibrium is correct, say, I'm fine. What is that equilibrium? My sugar level is fine. My cholesterol is fine. My BP seems to be okay, given the circumstances. I don't have a cold, my throat is not sore, my body is not aching, and so forth and so forth. So therefore, when a person says how you are, you say, I am fine. But nobody ever tells you, I'm not fine because I have this disease of lying. Nobody ever tells you that I'm not doing well because I have the cancer of ghibat. Nobody ever says that I'm not doing well because I have this chronic disease of arrogance. All you hear people say, Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. Why? Because, that equilibrium is there. So that tabi'at that we're talking about, in English, if you were to have a name, it would be close to instinct. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us instinct, and He has given us His nature. With me? He's given us His inclinations, which is called fitrah, and He's given us the instinct, which is called tabi'at, and this tabi'ah is also present in animals. So in a way, what you have now is the lowest of the low instincts, the lowest of the low inclinations, the lowest of the low likes and dislikes, and the highest of the highest likes and dislikes. Because of these two things, what you get, what you produce is tests. Because the like of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gets into the battle with the like of your instinct. And when these two likes, you need to decide in, now you have to choose. Do you do something which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes? Or do you do something which your instinct likes? With me so far? Instinctively in your DNA, you have all of the instincts that are present in the animals. Therefore, They will say that human beings' DNA, there are certain animals that it is very close to them. And one of those, they happen to be, for example, apes or chimpanzees. Chimpanzees are probably the closest. So therefore, they say that, quote unquote, that we were through evolutionary process from chimpanzees or Neanderthals became human beings, looking at the DNA. What they forget about is that this instinct that has been given to a human being has been given so that a human being can be tested with the fitrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has been given to everyone. Fitrat Allah allati fatara nasa alayha. He doesn't say that I've only given this to a Muslim. No, he says that I've given these inclinations to every single human being. Every single human being. The Holy Prophet has said that any child that is born, it is born on the fitrat of Islam. It is the father or the mother that they make them a Jew or a Christian. So everybody is born inclined towards Islam. Whether they are born in a Hindu family, a Sikh family, a Christian family, a Jew family, they're all inclined towards Islam. They bring that inclination. It is the parents who change those inclinations. They say, no. You have to now do puja part. Right? Puja part how? Masalan, here is a figure, light a few candles or light the agarbatti and bow down, this is your God. And it's so ridiculous that even a 6-year-old child would understand that that cannot be true. I have my children, I took them to this one street. It's a street like you have here, some of the streets, that all the shops are like, for example, Pakistani, Indian and so forth. So there's one street like that in Toronto. I took them over there and they were very young and they saw the whole environment and they started telling me, Abu, I want to go back to Canada. They thought that I'd bring them to Pakistan. They were that young. So we were on the street, there was this stall and they had these figurines or quote, like, gods basically. And my son picked it up and he started playing with it. And I said to my son, son, don't do that. It'll break. It's someone's God. And he was very, very young. And I'm telling you, the reason why I'm telling you this, that he was that young that he thought that I had brought him to Pakistan in the car, that he wanted to go back to Canada. And he looked at me and he said, Abu, how can this be someone's God if someone is selling it and if in my hands I can break it? If this God requires protection, if this God can be sold, if this God I can hold in my hand and see it, how can this be God? Right? But here you have a person who works in NASA, who has done like 4 or 5 PhDs, is a doctor of such and such, and is known to be the most, for example, expert in that particular field, comes home. How is that possible? Yani the fitrat of a human being tells a human being that what you are doing is wrong. That inclination of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells every single human being that what you're doing is wrong. What you need to do is find out what God must be, what God should be, not what God is. Because nobody knows what God is other than God. Nobody knows what God is other than God. And if anybody can know what God is in its entire essence, it would have to be higher than God. If somebody can comprehend in its entirety the essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that being would be higher than God. So in his essence, only he knows who he is. Only he knows. The task that is given to us is, you should ask the question, what God should be. And in that question, God should be almighty. There should not be anyone more mightier than God. God should be just. There should not be any oppression in God. God should be perfect. There should not be any nooks or any defect in God. God should not require protection, but He should give protection. God should not require food, but it should give food. God should not need reverence or love, but He should give reverence and love. And when you go through like that, in that path of knowing what God should be, you do not have any better resources than Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, the Holy Quran, and the teachings of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So when we get confused between these two, a lot of the times they say, this is in the nature of a human being. Well, first find out what this nature is. Are you talking about the instinct, which is the DNA, or are you talking about the inclination that every single human being has, which are the inclination of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If you want more proof for it, since human beings, civilization has been there, and we have in archaeology we have things that have been discovered that can go back as 20,000 or more. We have buildings that have been found in the ocean that when carbon dated, they were 14,000 years old. And these monuments, these walls and these stones that have been found, they have been cut with laser precision. A technology that we today also do not have. If you look at the pyramids, the way that they've been built 8,000 years ago or more, the way they've been built, what they say is that it is impossible for the technology even of today to be able to create something which is that precise in every single angle that 8,000 years ago human beings did. Right? So when we look at these archaeological finds, we find that the human civilization has existed for a very, very long time. And all of these things that we are so much proud of as far as technology is concerned, there were nations who were more powerful than you and I that existed and no longer are there. Only their signs are left. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, go on the earth and see what has happened to those nations that were more powerful than you. Right? So, when we look at the civilizations and we look at the way that human beings were able to construct and do what they did, we realized, one of the things we realized is that what they had, the knowledge that they had, we don't even have one, I don't want to exaggerate, so I'll just tell you, in total the knowledge has 27 pieces. And only 2 pieces so far have been given to humanity from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only 2. And the rest of the 25 will be given when the Imam of the time is here. When the Imam of the time is here, the 25 pieces. Look at what we have done in the 2 pieces. Look what we have been able to accomplish in the 2 pieces. Imagine what we will do in the rest of the 25 pieces. There are individuals who say that, you want us to take us back 1400 years. Excuse me, not taking you back 1400 years. We want to take you 1400 years ahead. In the time of the Imam of the time, the technology that you would have, the environment that you would have, the way that everything would be together, you cannot even imagine. So who says that Islam is against technology? Who says that Islam is against science? Who says that Islam does not want the betterment of humanity as far as using the means that are there? We haven't seen anything yet. And some of us also end up thinking this way, that when Imam comes, we'll be on horseback, and camels, and everything is just going to go turn his clock back. It's not going to happen that way. 1400 years ago, Imam Ali was walking on the... He was walking and he said to one of his companions, he said that, if people had the capacity, I could show them how to take light out of this water. If they had the capacity, I could tell them how to take noor from this water, running water. Today you have the electricity from running water. The circumference of the moon that was given by Imam, they found out not too long ago, between the circumference that Imam had given and the circumference they found, there was like 0.005 something of a difference. So, when we say that it is human nature to do such and such, well, you have to first of all find out what this nature is. Since human beings have been there, 14,000 years ago, till now, there's always been some sort of God that has been worshipped. There is some sort of prophet or a being from that God that has been believed in. Meaning, since you can go back in history, you'll always find that people were inclined towards a God, towards its representative, towards laws, rules. Because that is the inclination that every human being is born with. Right? So, once you understand instinct, everybody understood instinct? A lot of the things that we end up doing is through... Why do you eat food? Because of the fitrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why do you eat food? Because of instinct. With me? What does the fitrat say? Fitrat says that this food that you're eating must not produce impurity in your soul. Must not produce impurity in your soul, because your soul has the capacity, the ability that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the honor of saying that this is my soul. That with this food you should not become impure. You should have the food that is halal, that is prepared in the right means. That's what your fitra says. Your instinct says, oh, you can go eat at McDonald's. It's not a problem. Just say Bismillah on it and eat it. This is instinct. But fitrat says no. This food has to be pure, because when it goes inside, it will have an effect on that purity of your soul. And the purity is your starting point and your essence. Meaning all of the impurities are actually unnatural. Your natural state is of purity. Your natural state is of light. Your natural state is of perfection. Your natural state is of being sublime. You should not destroy your natural state. You have the potential to become the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, when fitra says that, instinct says something else, you have now the same problem in religion. Do we have the religion of instinct, or do we have the religion of fitra? Yeah? The religion that you and I practice, is it the religion of instinct or the religion of fitra? Well, majority of the time, the religion we're practicing is of instinct. What is the biggest instinct that an animal has? The biggest instinct that an animal has, that is the nucleus by which everything goes around, is comfort. Every animal is seeking for that one thing, and that is comfort. If our religion becomes a religion of comfort, like sometimes I feel that Imam should not come on Friday, he should come on like a Saturday. Because if he came on Friday, there'll be a lot of people at work, and it will be difficult for them to take time off. Like, Imam was born, for example, on Tuesday. It's like, what, Tuesday is difficult. Nobody's going to show up. Everybody will be at work. Let's leave Tuesday and do it on Saturday. Imam could have been brought into this world on any day, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose that particular day because that was a day of days. Because in that day are the hidden blessings that if we do not take benefit from those blessings, we will never have it until the next year. But we don't realize that. Like, oh, Maulana, it's too difficult. Too difficult what? To read Quran. Well, it's too difficult to read Quran. But I never had anybody come up and say, Maulana, it's too difficult watching 3 hours of Bollywood. It's so difficult to watch, 10 episodes of that particular show, for example, of Marvel or something else, whatever it happens to be. Then, it's not difficult for me to watch 10 episodes in a day. And there are people. Don't look at me like there are no people here. There are people who will spend 4 to 6 hours watching their TV show, one episode after the other and so forth. But they never come up and say, Maulana, it's so difficult. But when it comes to, can you read 10 minutes of Quran? Maulana, it's very difficult. I don't have time. What is this religion? This religion is of instinct. How do we utilize Quran? For our instinct. Yes, if you recite Surah Waqi'ah, yes, your sustenance will increase. No doubt. But is this the only motivation we have to read Surah Waqi'ah? Maulana, can you tell me something that I can do that I can increase in my wealth? Then Maulana, for example, somebody will say, just read Ziyarati Ashura. Say, okay, I'll read Ziyarati Ashura. Is that the religion of instinct? It is. Utilizing Ziyarati Ashura to gain their comfort or increasing their wealth is a religion of instinct. Would your sustenance increase by reciting Ziyarati Ashura? Yes. But was Ziyarati Ashura for that purpose? Quran is revealed for the guidance of humanity. What do we utilize Quran for? Whenever we have to see istikhara. Jara Maulana, his whole phone, all the time his phone is ringing every 5-10 minutes. And Maulana, this is istikhara, that is istikhara. Would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do something to you which is bad? No. Everything that He's going to do for you is going to be good. I'll tell you a small story and we'll finish. There was a king, his advisor used to always tell him something would happen, he would say, it happened for something good. Something good happened. So one day the king cut his finger. So he said something happened for good. When he cut his finger and the Wazir, the advisor, said that, he became upset and put him in the prison. He went hunting. When he went hunting, he left his kingdom and there was a tribe who captured him. When they captured him, they were going to give that king as a sacrifice to their deity. And when they were preparing the king, they noticed that there was a cut on his finger. So the priest said that, we cannot give the sacrifice which is incomplete. It's not perfect. It's defected. So let him go. And the king was left. And the king was there, you can go. And he comes back and he goes to the prison, says to the advisor, this happened and I was let go. What you said was good. That everything happens for good. He said, but you were in the prison. I put you in the prison. How was that good? He said, if I was with you, I would have been the sacrifice to their deity. So because we do not see that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made everything to connect with each other, that whatever we feel that it is bad, that later on it is something which is good. Because of the faith that is not strong enough, then we just utilize Quran. And when it comes to Imams, we have the same instinctive. Tonight is supposed to be for Hazrat Abbas. Hazrat Abbas is the embodiment of loyalty. That if you could ever want to see loyalty in person, it would be Hazrat Abbas. And this is not exaggeration. That is what is real. The image that has been placed in our minds of Hazrat Abbas, I'll tell you something about his physical appearance, that you have never pictured him that way. Whenever we picture Hazrat Abbas is a long, tall figure who's missing arms. They say that Hazrat Abbas's forehead had the mark of sajda as it is the knee of a camel. Because of so much prostration on his forehead, the skin had shriveled up to the point where it looked like the knee of a camel. Did you have that on his forehead? You didn't. Why? Because we were never told that. The reason why he became loyal to the Imam of the time is the worship he did. He used to have long sajdas. He used to pray. He's the son of Ali. He's the son of Ali. When you would see your father worshipping in a way that nobody else has, that Imam Sajjad saw the worship of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, he left it. He left the book. He said, who can worship like Ali? Hazrat Abbas is the son of Ali. His worship was unmatched. Through the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he had come to the point of submission to the Imam of the time. He had become loyal. To what extent? Although Imam had chosen him to become that support in that hardest of all times, as a soldier, Hazrat Abbas submitted to the will of his master. He wanted to go to the battlefield, and every time he would come, Imam Hussain would say that you cannot go. You know, Hazrat Abbas is Babul Hawaij. He's the door of where you can ask him anything. Before your heart starts breaking, or if they've already broken, tonight ask Hazrat Abbas to give you loyalty, who is the embodiment of loyalty. Ask him to give you some in your heart for the Imam of your time. Someone who has worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the point where he submitted himself. Ask for submission to the will of Allah. Hazrat Abbas kept asking for permission, and Imam Hussain kept on saying, no, you are the flag bearer. You are my flag bearer. If you were to go, what would I have? What would I have? And when the times were such, Hazrat Abbas found the children to be thirsty, and the children came to Hazrat Abbas. Hazrat Abbas was that pillar in Karbala that everybody took support with. He was that pillar of strength that everybody needed support of Hazrat Abbas. Hazrat Sakina comes and says, can you get some water for us? The children are thirsty. Al-atash, al-atash, al-atash are the sounds that the children were making because their throats were so dry. The mothers did not have anything to feed the children. You try to be in the desert for 3 days, and you happen to be 4 years old, and you don't get water. And you get dehydrated. The amount of pain you're going to feel in your throat and your body is unimaginable. Hazrat Abbas said to Imam Hussain, let me go just to bring water. Imam Hussain said, okay, you can go, just bring water. Don't bring anything, just go and bring water. Hazrat Abbas went, he got water. Look at the loyalty. He was going to drink water. He looks towards the camp. He said, my master has not had water. How can I have water? He throws the water. He starts on his horse. He has the sack of water of Bibi Sakina. And you know what has happened in this process. First, he was hit with an iron. Then his arms were cut. His arms fell. Hazrat Abbas held that sack of water. He said that he had it in his teeth, and an arrow came and hit that. And when he saw water going down, he realized that the promise that he had made to Bibi Sakina is not going to be fulfilled. That took all of his strength out. As he fell of the hits that he had been hit, he calls upon Imam Hussain, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. They said that, the enemies, they said that Imam Hussain, the way he was going towards Hazrat Abbas, it seemed as if his back was broken. He could not walk properly. For everybody else, he rushed to the battlefield. For Hazrat Abbas, his back was broken. He comes and Hazrat Abbas is lying there. He has an arrow in his eye. The arrow that was in his eye was giving the blood into the other eye. Imam Hussain sits down and puts the head of Hazrat Abbas in his lap. And when he puts his head on his lap, he puts his head away. He puts it again, he puts it away. He puts it again, he puts it away. He says, what are you doing? Hazrat Abbas says, I am going and I know your turn is going to come. There will be nobody whose lap your head is going to be. It is not okay for me. I don't feel comfortable. Hazrat Abbas says, no, these are my last breaths that I'm breathing. Can you not take me to the camp? Don't take me to the camp. I don't want Bibi Sakina to see me this way. If you want to lift a body that does not have arms, and the body happens to belong to Abbas, and the person who's going to lift it is Hussain, whose back is broken, it was an impossible task. Imam Hussain says, okay, Abbas, all your life you've called me master, master, master. Now that you're leaving, now that you're going, can you call me a brother for once? May my mother and father be sacrificed on your loyalty, Abbas. How loyal you were. You always lived with Hussain like a slave. That was taught to you by your mother. But you became a support to that Imam of the time that you are going now. His back is broken. May our peace and salutations be on the mother of Abbas. Oh Allah, out of your grace and your mercy, this slave of yours is talking to you because of Mawla Abbas. You gave me freedom through him many times. You have fulfilled everything that I've asked through him. I beseech you, for his sake, to give us the opportunity to see the Imam of our time as soon as possible. Forgive our sins and the sins of our forefathers. Give us the opportunity to submit and to know who we are and to know who you are. And curse the enemies, those that have committed those atrocities. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Al-Asr. Inna al-insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa aminu salihat. Tawasaw bil-haqq wa tawasaw bis-sabr.